All right, so since the last time we saw you, I think you were talking about this early on. You were shooting footage back when we first made friends. I even think you've been working on this for a little while, culling it together. You have this. Should we call him a mentor?
Yeah, Barry's definitely a mentor. The movie's is a documentary I made, and it's out now. It's called Call Me Lucky. And I started doing comedy when I was 16. Tom Kenny was 15. In Syracuse, in this town next door, there was an ad that said they were looking for comedians. And so, because Tommy's always been amazing with voices, he called up as like a dude, you know, like he was an adult, not a teenager. He's like, yeah, we're a couple of comedians, and we'd like to come by. I swear to God. Like he thought, I think Wilford Brimley's coming in to do a set tonight. And we showed up, and there's Barry, you know. He's just such a character even back then, you know. He just looked up, and he said, ugh. Did your parents drive you? So he you know, for folks who aren't aware of him, he's a political satirist, still is. And like my favorite Barry Crimmins joke is, he says, people say if you don't love this country, why don't you leave it? He says, because I don't want to be victimized by its foreign policies. So a real sharp guy. And he started a club in Boston that a lot of folks like Stephen Wright and Paula Poundstone, myself, a lot of people got their start in this room. And he was definitely a mentor and the gatekeeper. Like if he thought you were derivative of anyone else, you didn't get on stage. And so was Kevin Meaney and Steve Sweeney and Lenny Clark. All these comics came out of that scene, and he drove it. I don't feel like the movie isn't. It's about him. I think it's important people meet him and stuff. But what it's really about is he, during a performance, disclosed on stage about his rapes when he was 4. And he went, you know, then he tried to process this. So in the course of him processing it, he went online. This is in the early 90s, mid-90s, and AOL just started. So there was people exchanging child pornography in chat rooms, and he complained to AOL, and they didn't do anything. And then he went to the cops, and the cops in the movie say, you know, we didn't even have computers then. So he posed his kids, got all this evidence against AOL, and then took AOL to the floor of the Senate during a judiciary hearing. And it was like a Capra story, this like, you know, nightclub comedian embarrassing this giant corporation. And then afterwards, there was a shift in him.
What was the process for him? Like, how did he go?
By the way, the movie's funny. I know it sounds.
The movie's amazing. Which is a story in and of itself. Is the fact that this is like you've made these movies that people adore because they're so punk rock. They're so they're so sort of just like if they're nothing else, they are you just trying to steer off of any conceivable road in front of you. Shakes the Clown, and like there's people who like. And there's an anger to that stuff too. So the irony
I guess
to me
there is. I don't see it, but yeah.
I mean, you're laughing the whole time, but you're
kind of like
humor.
God Bless America when we shot a baby. I really thought. It was like I wrote it. You know, she goes, "Don't you have a baby?" And he pumps a shotgun. She throws it in the air. And we shoot the baby. That was the only thing I've ever written that I thought some point someone was going to say, hey, man, you can't do this. But it never happened. I was like, I guess we're shooting a baby today. And I said, give me a baby that looks really ugly. Like, I wanted it to look like someone shaved a pug, you know? And the baby came, and it was really cute, and it didn't cry, and it would just sit there like, you know, and... I feel bad about this too. This is my amends story.
This is a good place to do it. The audience is 25 years old. They love apologies and punishment. So the baby didn't cry. The parents go. They come in. They go, "What are we shooting today?" I'm like, "Your baby." Your baby. And then I realized nobody told them what the scene was about. So we gave them some more money, and then that's true. There's a stunt bump, I guess. So,
stunt bump.
The baby just sat there, just like this. So I'd have the parents, the dad, I'd have him walk off the set, and the kid didn't give a shit. And then nothing. Took its biscuit out of its mouth. Nothing, just sat there. So then, I'd love to tell you I'm a better man than this, but I got down on all fours, and I put keys over the lens so it would be looking in the right direction, and then I got right in the baby's face, and I was like, and the baby would go, I was like, roll. No. And whenever I would duck out of the way, the baby would shut up immediately.
The keys were to get the attention, and then you were there to horrify the baby.
Correct.
Okay.
But as soon as my face wasn't there, it would just shut down. It was like that Michigan J. Frog, like, hello, my baby, hello, my ragtime doll.
You're running and getting the GP. You're like, I swear to God, the baby.
He was crying.
Sure he was, Bobcat.
Free beer. So I imagine, like, someday that kid will be 10 and a police academy will come on and be like, ah! And just run out.
And then you'll have your shot.
I finally got it.
But anyways,
so,
to wax schmaltzy about it, or just at least kind of mythical. I mean, all of that awesome punk rock anger, energy, whatever you call it. You don't call it anger, but like
no, I guess it is.
Cynical, whatever. Like non-establishment. And you had this father figure early on in your comedy career who had this scar in his life, and then one of your you made all these different kinds of movies. Like your most recent one before that is this, is another weird turn for you, the found footage, like a Bigfoot movie.
Yeah.
So like that does not resemble Shakes the Clown that much. Yeah. It's not like you're Rob Zombie trying to, like, you're like, no, you don't get it yet.
No, I just like Bigfoot.
The cheerleaders are dumb and they should be tortured. One more movie and I swear you're going to get it.
No, I just wanted to make a Bigfoot movie because I like Bigfoot, and
then you cradle this guy with your first documentary.
So Barry, it's funny you say anti-establishment because I met him as a teenager, and here's this guy who was totally anti-establishment, and he wasn't condescending to us. He actually encouraged it. So, that really.
How did he come out of it? Like what's his like? Is he happy with what happened? Is that satisfying for him?
I don't think he was happy.
I mean, not happy, but
no, he's the first one to make those jokes. Yeah. There's a scene in the movie where he actually goes into the basement that this happened in, and I was just filming the basement because I thought that was way more powerful, just to show these spaces. But I did not want him to go in there. And he goes, "You go through a problem, You don't go around it. There's no demons. I'm demystifying this space. I'm going down there. You can film it or not."
Had he been back there since?
No. He says it's not a place I like to hang out.
This is the first time when you.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he was like, so we had a huge argument, and I said, well, just give me 5 minutes so I can roll, and it's in the movie, and it's very powerful, and. There was a reason I was trying to remember, but one of the things happened is he's very eloquent in the basement, and then afterwards, because I knew it had happened, he went into shock. He does this weird thing when he's going into shock, and I knew that he was in shock. And he goes, "I can't remember what I said. Is any of it usable?" And I said, "Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm going to play yakety sax the whole time." And so, that's what I was going to say. Just what you're saying. He said, and we were doing a Q&A, and I said, and I wanted to film the spaces, and I didn't want to do reenactments. And he goes, "You didn't want to do reenactments."
It works every time.
But Bob, does Barry emerge from this like? Is that more healing for him? Or
yeah. And the point of the movie for me was to show he comes out through the other side, and not only he's not a victim of this, as he says, "I'm not a victim anymore." It is about coming all the way through the other side, and he starts off the movie, he's just full of rage, and he's still angry, but his targets are now more directed at people and things.
That's the thing that I want people listening to this for, as far as plugging the movie is concerned. If you're because like the tough thing about good movies, especially ones that are profound, that have to do with like insights into human darkness, like they're not always at the top of your list. Like no matter how good.
Yeah, like I still haven't seen The Act of Killing, and everyone says it's a great movie.
Man, it's the most important movie you'll ever see because. But and that's what. But the thing about that is that I keep saying to people like, yeah, but don't worry about it. It will not challenge you that way at the beginning. It's colorful and whimsical and ironic. And your movie is similar in that sense. That's why I texted you halfway through it and was like, this is really genius because there is, and it's something about Barry too. And I think I don't think I have the IQ or the vocabulary to articulate what the real important thing about what's on the microscope slide there. It has something to do with the fact that he's really smart and really funny and really autonomous and really unafraid of the entire United States government and all of mainstream society and anyone that could ever tell him that he's gross or fat or dirty or stupid. That he doesn't cut the silhouette, therefore, of somebody who is capable of having something so this is where my vocabulary breaks down. It's just the dichotomy is very interesting to me because he's not. It's like we're used to breaking up the world into guys like that are like he didn't say, "Oh my God, I was molested on stage," and then curl up in a ball and start sucking his thumb and then become really unfunny. He became even funnier and even smarter and even stronger. But in a process, though, he had to ask himself questions about like everything that he had ever thought or done, and every formation of all. And how do you know? Even those of us who can't point to a big red trauma on a map, we have to go to therapy and wonder how much of what makes people chuckle when I talk is unhealthy, and how much of it is like, I don't know. It's an important movie for that reason. It's just here, put this on the poster. I'm going to give you a great quote. Even if he hadn't been molested, this would be a great documentary. Because he's a really, really incredible like. Well,
I think people go, well, did you pitch this movie? It's like, where? Like, here, go, Bob. Hey, here's a comedian that you're not familiar with. No, wait, he gets raped as a kid.
Hear me out.
Don't step
There's
up
$10 million, Mr. Goldfarb.
What was it like? Did you get like? What was it like the journey for you in that movie? Like, did you think that you were going to get through that without it being hard? Did you know how hard it would be for you? Like what was your journey through all that darkness and all that sadness?
Yeah, I was very concerned for my friend, and Barry says that whenever the movie would have come first, his well-being was always more important than making a movie, even if it was a movie about it. But it's been very hard, and it's weird.
What did you go through? Like, what was your journey on that?
Well, it's now, we've had a lot of success with the movie, and we show screenings, and people, really like it, so I have to deal with that. I don't like success. And then there's, no, just kidding. But there's often after the movie, adult survivors come up and they disclose, and often they're telling me this is the first time they ever did this.
So you get a full portion of that every time you show the movie.
Yeah. I'm glad the movie's helping people. I'm glad it's been doing so well and people are receiving it. But the birth of the movie, and I'll talk about it here because the last time we worked together was here. Robin Williams is my best friend, and he knew I wanted to do Barry's story all the way in the mid-'90s. I thought, we took a swipe at scripts and everything because I thought I'd want to have someone play him. And it was Robin that kind of suggested that I jettisoned that idea. I'm smiling because he was like, I'm too old to play that role anymore. He said, why don't you do it as a documentary? So I was
last time we talked about this was Tasha, your daughter's birthday.
Yeah.
And you sat down and said, how you doing? He said, well, I had a breakup. My best friend died, and I'm making a movie about
child rape. It was even better than that. It was divorce, broke up decorating the Christmas tree with another woman. My best friend passed away, and then for about 8 to 12 hours a day, I would edit
You're dealing with this shit.
Child rape documentary. So I'm really ready to do like a talking duck movie. Just something really asinine.
Well,
here comes Quackers.
They were letting you shoot babies before, but now you've do you feel like there's like you got the karma holsters all like full, and you could shoot 11 babies in the next movie.
Yeah, and everyone was like, at least it wasn't like that doc. So, but Barry wants to do a sequel. He calls it "Call Me Greedy." So Robin was the one. He said, shoot as a doc, and he said, I said, I don't have any money, and he actually gave me some money to start filming, and that's how the whole movie got made. Was that? And
you wanted him to do a live action version as him as Barry?
Yeah, that was really what I was thinking, and then we still were thinking about making it with someone else playing him, and Barry wrote a script that was about 350 pages long. And then I took a stab at a script, which actually helped the doc because I kind of had the structure in my head. And I didn't do that as a bait and switch, how his disclosures reveal. I just wanted the audience to feel exactly how I felt knowing this guy really well, and then learning. Oh, now it makes sense. I think the 48 Hours version would have been raped at 4, comedian, and then nothing would have been funny for 45 minutes.
Well, it's also like I want to bring our other friend out, but that's the other powerful thing about it. Maybe this is what I was trying to articulate is the fact that you do it that way. Because I feel like sickness, abuse, death, like the things that we fear, the things that we know that are the worst things that can happen to us, we tend to relate to them emotionally as diseases. And when our friends are afflicted with them, like we have this temptation to, like it's this terrible syndrome of shame and guilt and stuff that we go like, oh God, this person, if this terrible thing happened to them, then that makes them a different kind of action figure. They need special tools and backpacks and things, and they're not. It's like, but the nobody is more human and more dimensionalized than Barry Crimmins. Like nobody has more tools to deal with any manticore that would cross his path.
So he said,
and then this thing is placed in his path, and we watch him eat it, and we watch him digest it, and we do it with him, and that's it humanizes it, and it makes it a real thing, which is really.
I often wonder because because he almost in my mind may have been that kid at 4, because his friends were talking about some. Preschool revolt that he led. They handed out books and then he threw them out the window. Like, well, we're not going to need books. So, he said that when he disclosed to me that my reaction wasn't, someone says this to you, now it's on your lap, you're re-seeing this person. And when he told me, he said that it was almost if, He talks very affectionately about how I reacted. I was just like, oh, I was kind of not happy, but I was just like, oh, well, that makes sense, and that meant.
Where did you first see him or hear him? Like, do you have any favorite jokes? Like the first jokes that you remember, like when you first thought he was funny?
Oh yeah, I mean the first time I saw him, he was just the first thing I remember was just the first time I saw him walk on stage. He's swilling a beer that he pulled out of his jacket. And he's smoking, and he's like, I'm on a health kick lately. and